Alright, 3 things off the bat that annoy the fuck out of me. Number 1, barking dogs. Number 2, babies. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Fuck babies. I don't like babies. I'm not impressed. Number 3, chirping birds. Speaking of barking dogs, yesterday, I went on a nice leisurely walk in the morning. I got myself some mame sherbet. And here in Mexico, the sherbet, like non-dairy ice cream, is actually the bomb. Now, in the United States, my only experience with sherbet was like that processed, artificially sweetened, bullshit. Well, here, they use real fruit. And my favorite flavor is mame, and it's a type of fruit. I'm not going to bore you with the details. Who gives a fuck? I was enjoying my little sherbet cone. Yeah, that's right. I was walking back to my place, minding my fucking business, enjoying myself, taking in the Mexican sun on my white ass face. I'm walking down the street, and this medium-sized dog, wasn't big, wasn't small, medium-sized dog, not on a leash, not restrained. So the fact that he wasn't restrained or on a leash, I assume the dog was probably alright. I assume the dog was tame, nothing to worry about. This dog starts to follow me, starts sniffing at my ankles, and then starts snapping at my fucking legs. Now, he didn't bite me because I got away. Obviously, I jumped forward a bit. My heart rate fucking spiked. I turned around. I started cussing at the dog. Told him to fuck off, because he speaks English, of course. And then I walk away thinking maybe he knows not to fuck with me. He keeps following me, So this lady comes out, this Mexican lady. She's got a broom in her hand. And no, not all Mexican women have brooms. Chill the fuck out. I was like, hey, get your dog. And she's like, and she actually spoke English. I was cussing at the dog. I was like, pinche perro, which is like fucking dog, something like that. And she's like, yeah, I saw the dog. And the way she looked at me was like she was mad at me. She was mad at me for, getting in a defensive posture to defend myself against a dog attacking me. Listen, I should be able to walk down the street in peace and not have to worry about a dog fucking attacking me. And I have something to say about this. I've had this happen to me several times in my life where I'm walking around, minding my business, not causing a fucking problem, and a dog will run up on me aggressively, barking and snarling and snapping at me, and, for all intents and purposes, he wants to hurt me. He or she wants to hurt me. And then I kick the dog in their fucking head. Or I get into the defensive stance, ready to defend myself, like I'm gonna kick it. And then people get mad at me, as if I'm an asshole. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just let the dog bite me? This happened to me one time in Phnom Penh. I was making a video, actually, that's actually up on YouTube. It's something about, the title of the video is like something about, like, people who don't use profanity and why I don't trust them, basically. And what happened was, at the end of the video, and I was actually right outside the Royal Palace in Phnom Penh, right by the riverside, right outside the Royal Palace, a bunch of people. And at the end of the video, this loose dog starts charging directly at me with his teeth out, barking. Now, what am I supposed to think? Oh, he's just a nice little puppy. Oh, he just wants to play, doesn't he? Okay, let me ask you this, guys. Imagine you're standing, mind your own fucking business, and then me, I start running at you as fast as I can, yelling and screaming and cussing with my fist in the air, with an aggressive look on my face. What are you going to do? Are you going to think that I'm going to, be your fucking friend and ask you to go eat some ice cream with me and have a cup of coffee? Or do you think that you need to defend yourself? Yeah, that's what I thought. You gotta fucking defend yourself. So this dog runs up on me, and I kick him in his fucking face. And he starts running away, starts crying like a little bitch, running away. And this Italian couple, I think they're French or Italian, some dirty ass European fucking backpackers. And like, you motherfucker, you motherfucking piece of shit. You are son of my ass, motherfucker. Like, they didn't even know how to cuss in English. It was kind of funny. Like, you're a piece of shit, mother asshole. And they're mad at me. And then I'm throwing my hands up like, go ahead, motherfucker, like, try to fight me for letting your dog attack me. There's people out there that hold animals higher than people. And it blows my fucking mind. I've had neighbors in Phnom Penh, in America, even here in Mexico, where dogs want to run up and snap at you, and then you defend yourself, and then they get mad at you. I just don't get it. I have every right to defend myself, man. What is with that? What is with that? Like, people think dogs, like they're not people, they're fucking animals, man. I know I'm ranting here, but that shit really pisses me off, dude. And I almost want to kick the dog in the face just as much as I want to kick the fucking person in the face who gets mad at me for defending myself. I just thought I'd point that out, man. Fucking people suck, dude. Let me sip my little drink. Hold on. Fucking dogs, dude. Speaking of Mexico, I am the only white guy around here. Now, when I say white guy, I'm talking like, blonde hair, blue-eyed, güero. Güero is like the Spanish word for somebody like me who has like lighter, lighter eye color, lighter hair color. And I gotta say that I have a lot of experience being the only white dude. I've got a lot of experience being the only white guy, and I think that's really important. I think that, growing up in small town Virginia, where it was predominantly white, people seem to have this like this comfort level, of course, like they don't want to go to places where they're going to be the minority or the only one like themselves. And my first experience ever being the only white dude, or like being the major minority, was actually when I moved from Virginia down to Atlanta, Georgia. And Atlanta, Georgia, for anybody that doesn't know, is a major city in the South in the States, and it's predominantly black. For sure, it's predominantly black. And I moved to this neighborhood on the eastern edge of Atlanta with my buddy who was also white. We got an apartment. We were the only white dudes pretty much in the whole neighborhood. And occasionally I'd see a white guy down there, but the problem was this. They were not a good representative of the white race. All right, now that's why I take pride in being the only white guy, especially in black neighborhoods. Like, when I lived in Prince George's County, Maryland, which is predominantly black, for sure. I had a black girlfriend. Everybody I worked with was black. I was the only white guy in the neighborhood, and people would often mistake me for a cop. I took pride in being the only white boy in the area because, in a way, for me, it was almost like, like I had this sense of pride. And one day, this fucking white guy with his little white fucking girlfriend moves in the neighborhood, and I had to go have a little talk with him. I had to go have a little talk with him. I said, look, buddy, I don't know if you know this, man, but I'm the only white guy here. You need to take a fucking hike. All right, you're not even a good representative of the white race. All right, this white guy, tried his damnedest to be black. He tried his damnedest to come off as black because he thought because he was moving to a black area, he had to assimilate with, I guess, the local culture. Like, he had to have the hip hop look. He had to blast hip hop. He had to have this certain kind of, like, the way he talked. And it was so cringy because it was so obvious that it wasn't genuine. Now, when I lived there, I took pride in blasting my fucking Slipknot. I would play Slipknot. I would play hard metal just to make a point that, hey, I'm the fucking white guy here. Yeah, that's right. I like hard metal, man. Yeah, that's right. I drive a pickup truck. Goddamn right. Yeah, that's right. I'm fucking the shit out of this big booty black girl too, and she likes it. Goddamn right. Now, am I racist? Some people are thinking, oh man, this guy's racist. Am I racist? Well, some have said, I think more accurately, I'm racial. I'm racial. I don't see skin color. We're all the same. Bullshit. Of course you see fucking skin color. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Yeah, I said it. I take pride in being the only white guy. Many times in Cambodia, I was the barang. I was always the white dude. And I like it. Not because I get attention, I mean, obviously, sometimes, like, people look at you and they're like, who the fuck's this guy? Like, what's he doing here? But there's something about this sense of pride in, like, being different. And I've always been like that. Like, even when I lived in a predominantly white area, like in Front Royal, Virginia, or Winchester, Virginia, where it's all predominantly white. You have some blacks, some Hispanics, and a couple Asians sprinkled up in there. But I always took pride in being different. And it's not because I like being different just for the sake of being different or because I want attention. It's because I hate being normal with everybody. I don't like to blend in necessarily with my personality or my interest. And that's just how I've always been. Some might call it, like the rebellious spirit. I don't really think so. I just think it's the fact that I'm not the only one. Like, there's a lot of people who might be listening right now, or that where being normal and living in the norm is you just can't do it. And I hate doing it, man. I can't be like everybody else. I don't want to do it. I think it makes you more authentic, more original, more unique. And again, it's not based out of ego, because there's a fine line between wanting to be different based on your ego and like wanting attention and doing it just for the sake of being different. And there's somebody who's being different because they genuinely think the norm is kind of dumb. I grew up in a town full of mostly rednecks, for sure rednecks. And there was a major racial divide. Like most of the black people were like really black. They were so black because they didn't want to be like all the rednecks who were essentially the norm. So I could kind of empathize with them more now that I'm older and I have more experience being the minority. Like, I didn't really get why some of the black kids or even Hispanic kids when I was a kid wanted to like be different and almost wanted everybody to know that they were different. But now that I have so much experience being the only white guy in black neighborhoods, being the only white guy in a Cambodian neighborhood in Cambodia, or being the only white guy in a Mexican neighborhood in Mexico. Now I get it. But I don't, I'm not aggressive about it. I'm not a dick about it, but I just take pride in being unique. I take pride in being the only one like myself. For the most part, I pretty much blend in though, here. But I think like once I get up close to people and they see like my red and blonde kind of beard and my fair skin and my blue eyes are like, oh shit, like, who's this widow, But people here are super, super nice, man. The people here are nice. One thing I will say that really bothers me, that I've noticed for a long time about Hispanic people or Latino, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And this can go for El Salvadorians, Mexicans, anybody else like that, Guatemalans. And I noticed this even back in the States. Like, for example, when I'd go to like an El Salvadorian restaurant or a Mexican place, and I'd go with a Mexican friend or a Hispanic friend or my woman who is Hispanic, oftentimes the server at the restaurant didn't really speak the best English, but it's okay because I would speak a little Spanish to them. And I noticed that when they were talking, they would never look at me. They would never look at me or acknowledge me when they were talking. They would only talk to the other Hispanic people at the table and never look at me. And that really, really, really got to me because I'm like, why Like, do they not want me here? Are they disgusted by me, or whatever? Like, do they think I'm stupid? Do they think I don't understand them? And the same thing happens here. When I go out and do things with my woman, who is Mexican, like native speaker of Spanish and all that shit, most of the time these people never look at me or acknowledge me. They only talk to her, even though I'm standing right fucking there. And I understand most of what they're saying. And what it is, I think, is that, and like, this is what my woman told me, is that sometimes the people, especially the more native indigenous people, it's almost like they're intimidated by me. And it's not that they're intimidated like they're scared, like I'm going to do something bad to them. It's like they think that because I'm a white man and they don't speak English, like they have no business talking to me or something. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of you have a different opinion. But what I need to start saying to them is, estoy aquí, yo también. Estoy aquí, yo también, which means, hey, I'm also here. I'm also here. Like, acknowledge me too. And I think it's so fucking rude, man. I think it's so fucking rude, dude. But aside from that, the people here are cool. The people here are nice. As long as you make an effort to speak Spanish, and obviously you don't walk around like you're the fucking king. Because I do stick out around here, so I do have to carry myself in like a respectful manner. Because if I walk around here like I run shit, or like I think I'm better than everybody, then no one's gonna like me. No one's gonna like me. But but I'm not like that. I'm actually very humble. I dress very low key. I pretty much mind my own business wherever I go. And if I have a question, I'll fucking ask it. Change gears here. I'm gonna make a video soon about over-the-counter recreational drugs that you can buy here in Mexico. Not that I'm using any kind of drugs for recreation, but I think it would be like a neat video to make. One thing I want to talk about is over-the-counter Modafinil in Mexico. Now, what is Modafinil? Modafinil is a central nervous system stimulant that promotes wakefulness, alertness. It elevates the mood. It can alleviate depression. It promotes focus, concentration. Now, it is a stimulant, and some people like, actually, it's not a stimulant. It's technically a urologic. Well, go fuck your mother. All right? That's the same type of asshole. Like, when I say, I like all kinds of nuts, like almonds, pecans, and peanuts. Actually, a peanut is not a nut. It's a legume. Okay, hey, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean. Don't be a fucking douchebag, okay? Modafinil, yeah, it's a urologic, but it's also a stimulant. It stimulates you. It wakes you up. It's a fucking stimulant. Now, I know some of y'all know what modafinil is. Modafinil is the actual generic name. It's like the actual chemical name, but it's sold as, at least in most countries, it's sold as Provigil, tomato, whatever you want to call it. And my first experience with it was when I lived in Cambodia. How many stories do I tell where it starts with when I lived in Cambodia? Well, guys, I had a lot of fucking interesting experiences over there. So I had this client, and his name was Stefan, and he was a plump. Well, I'm not, he was fat as fuck. He was a fat ass. His name was Stefan, and he was a gentleman from Bulgaria. And I trained him like 5 days a week at this gym called Superfit in Phnom Penh off Mao Zedong Boulevard. Very, very nice gym in Phnom Penh. If you're ever there, check it out. And his job, he was like a radio DJ. He kind of had this job where he had to be very alert all day. He worked long hours and whatever. So he had this shit called modafinil, and I didn't really know a lot about it. I knew a little bit about it, but not really. He told me, and I was like, hey, so you mind if I just, can I try one? Do you mind if I try one out? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So after our session, we went to the locker room. No, we didn't blow each other. Chill out. And he gave me a modafinil tablet. And I asked him about like how he got it. And apparently the only way to get it in Cambodia is if you order it from India. And that's oftentimes the case now, but I'll get to that in a second. So he gave me a tablet. I took it, and, you know, within about 30 to 45 minutes, boom, I felt it. And I started, I started fucking like rearranging my room. I started cleaning my room. I went out, started making videos. I was, reading all this stuff, and I realized like this is a powerful drug. And it is a drug. I mean, it's a drug for sure, but it's not really like a recreational or addictive drug. And, he wasn't really trying to give it to me all the time, which is fine. But then a couple of years went by. I came back to the States, and I tried to do some research on how to get modafinil, and the only reliable source I could find was this website called Modafinil Express, which is still up and running. Like, if you go to any blog on modafinil, they're going to talk about Modafinil Express. And it's a website based out of India, and they sell modafinil and they sell R-modafinil. And R-modafinil, I'm not going to get into the science of it, but it's essentially a more refined, stronger version of modafinil, and it requires a smaller dosage for the same effect and lasts a bit longer. But Modafinil Express, they're a modafinil distributor. And I was trying to get some, but I had some issues with my bank account. Like, for whatever reason, my bank wouldn't let me order from India, and I had to do all this bullshit. And I just thought, you know what? Maybe this is for the best. Maybe I shouldn't be fucking with this stuff. It might mess with my sleep. I might become dependent on it. I might, it might be bullshit. Like they might send me some duds. So I never really fucked with it. And then, now that I'm in Mexico, I started doing some research on it. I was like, do they have modafinil here? I wonder. And it turns out they do. And they sell it, they sell it by the brand name Modafinil. And it's modafinil, and they sell the 200 milligram tablets. And it's not exactly super cheap. It basically breaks down to like $2, like $2.50 a pill. And I've been using it on and off. Like, I'll use it for a few days, and then I'll take like a week off. I actually took some today. I'm feeling pretty good about it. And like, the thing I love about modafinil is that it legitimately works. It legitimately works, like, but there's a couple of things that you want to be careful with it. Like, first of all, don't take it too late in the day, because it will keep you up. At least for me, like, it totally keeps me up. Like, if I take it at noon or 1 in the afternoon, I'm most likely going to be up very, very late. So you got to take it like at 7 or 8 in the morning. And it's not as stimulant. It's not like a classic stimulant like amphetamines or even like Ritalin or cocaine. It does hit some of the same receptors in the brain as cocaine and all that, but there's not really a euphoria or high to speak of, and there's no come down, which I love about it. There's no come down, there's no withdrawal, and I know this because I've done a lot of it days on end and had zero withdrawal symptoms. So I really, really like it. And basically the way I'd put it is like, modafinil is like somebody who has seeing problems who puts on a pair of good glasses for the first time. It brings about clarity. It brings about focus. It makes everything more clear the way it should be. And it really, really helps me with my mood. It helps me with my depression, because yes, I do get depressed quite a bit. And not necessarily sad, but just low energy, low motivation, low focus, and modafinil is great. So I'm super thankful that they have that here, and that I could just go get it. So anybody that's coming to Mexico and you want something to help you with your focus, your concentration, even if you're trying to stay up all night and like get some shit done, modafinil will help you. It helps with daytime sleepiness. It helps with The reason that modafinil was created in the first place was to combat narcolepsy. It was given to people and it still is given to people in the military, like fighter pilots or people that need to get shit done for days on end, and maybe you can't sleep. Maybe you can't sleep. College students use it, and I like it better than Adderall because I don't feel high. I don't feel like I need more of it. Like, I used to take Adderall when I lived in Maine, but I wasn't taking it for any kind of, I was using it to get high, of course. And I remember one of my lowest moments on Adderall, my lowest moment that I look back on now and I cringe. I used to be this caregiver for this elderly transgender woman. Her name was Trieste. Nice person. And oftentimes when I went there, I'd be high on Adderall. And she had a neighbor named Pat. And this was a little old lady who lived by herself. She's a little old, fragile lady. Her name was Pat. And this was in Portland, Maine, in downtown Portland, Maine. And I had this idea in my head while I was kind of rolling on Adderall. I was like, you know what I can do? Maybe what I can do is talk to this lady, Pat, and offer to be a part-time caregiver for her. And in exchange, she can give me drugs. Because I was thinking, because she was an older, kind of disabled lady, I'm like, surely she has some kind of drugs, right? Because the transgender woman that I took care of had an endless supply of diazepam, aka Valium, an endless supply of oxycodone, hydrocodone, gabapentin, baclofen, who the fuck knows what else, fucking lorazepam, which is like a lower strength benzo, also known as Ativan. And I would regularly steal her drugs and buy Valium off of her. And on top of that, I was getting paid too, like $10 an hour. So I was like, I was kind of rolling. And this chick Pat came over to Trieste's house, who was the trans lady, and I'm sitting down and talking to her, and like, I'm hot and I'm cold at the same time. I get like my palms are all sweaty. I'm kind of like chewing on my jaw. And I'm like, hey, so would you be interested in me doing some caregiving services for you? And she's like, yeah, that might not be a bad idea. Maybe just once or twice a week you can help me. You can help me clean up and maybe this and that. But and then she's like, but I don't really have any money to pay you. So I'm thinking like, all right, well, that's fine. So, would you want to work something out? Maybe you could give me some pills. Maybe you could give me some pills in exchange for my services. And right away, she's like, she wasn't having it. She was not having it. And she thought it was weird that I even said that shit. And I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah. No big deal, whatever. And I continued to abuse Adderall. I continue to use LSD, Valium, Xanax, a plethora of pharmaceutical opioids for the next, month or whatever, until I finally had to go to like a crisis center. And now that I look back on it, man, Adderall is a powerful drug. Adderall is a powerful drug, for sure. And I never want to do that shit again, because now that I look back on what I was doing on these amphetamines, man, I was doing some pretty cringy shit. Some things that I'm actually embarrassed to even talk about. And I know I'm pretty open about things, but some stuff that I don't even really want to talk about right now. So modafinil is a much safer, much more effective alternative because there's no potential for abuse or anything like that. So I'm really, really glad that I have access to modafinil, and it's not something that I abuse, just for the record. All right, let me sip my little drink here, and let's get into some emails. All right. Title of the email: Anti-Psychotic by Elizabeth Bass. Pardon me. She says, Howard, after you got off that crap Zyprexa, did you gain weight or ever get normal again? Peace, bro. Thanks for the honesty. So my first experience with Zyprexa, also known generically as olanzapine, was, I think I was about 15 or 16 years old, and from the time I was, I want to say, 13 to 18, I was on all different types of psych drugs, like some lithium. I was on that for 4 or 5 years. The lithium. I was on Abilify. I was on Depakote. I was on Wellbutrin. I was on fucking all kinds of antidepressants and antipsychotics. And one in particular that sticks out to me was I took this stuff called Zyprexa. And I remember when I was like 15, or I think it was like 16 actually. I remember that I got off school one day and I had to take some of it, and we finally got home. And I just remember my mom got out of the car to go inside, and I just was sitting there in the van with the door open, staring at the gray sky, just zombied out, just like did not want to do shit. I could barely get up, didn't want to talk, didn't want to do shit. And obviously, I told my parents about it, and they talked to the doctor, and they got me off of it. And then when I was in Maine, I was just talking about how I was abusing drugs heavily in Maine. I went to this crisis center, against my will, actually. And that's kind of a different story, but I got admitted to this crisis center in this emergency room at a hospital in Maine. And, you know, I was all fucked up because I was on drug withdrawal from amphetamines, from benzos, from opiates, from, you know, even psychedelics and all that. It was bad. And, you know, I wasn't being very nice to some of the people there, and I was kind of acting out and being, you know, I was being a bad boy. So they gave me, you know, some lorazepam to kind of taper me off the Valium, and they gave me this stuff called, well, they gave me Zyprexa. It was an antipsychotic, and it was a way, and they actually said they were going to give it to me to help me sleep and to help me calm down, which it did. It did work. And then they prescribed that to me, and I continued to take it for about the next maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Think like 10 milligrams twice a day. And basically what I noticed with that was apathy, no interest in doing anything. I felt weak, physically weak. Like even like picking up, like doing the dishes was like not challenging, but it was like a task. It was like picking up the plates and doing all that. I just felt weak. When I would, you know, and obviously at the time I did not have a girlfriend or anything. So when I would try to jerk off, I'd have zero sensation in my dick. And when I would come, it didn't feel good. And it was like this chunky, yellowy, like glue. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. And I just remember feeling weak, physically weak, mentally weak. I didn't want to do anything. And I just quit taking it cold turkey. But I was able to stop cold turkey because I was only doing it for like a few weeks, pretty low doses. But there's people who have been on it for years with high doses. And you can't just stop taking that. You're probably going to have some serious mental, like you're going to have a fucking mental breakdown or something. You might even die. I don't know. But when I made this video called Thumbs Down for Zyprexa, it's up on YouTube, a lot of people responded to that because there's a lot of people out there on Zyprexa and they don't want to be on it. I don't suggest psych drugs for anybody. I don't think, you know, obviously I'm no fucking expert, but you know, like I'm not a psychiatrist or anything, but typically when people take this stuff, there's a lot of really, really bad side effects and they have to stop taking it anyways. So why would you put something in your body every single day and then up the dose and up the dose and up the dose when you know that eventually you're going to have to stop taking it? Now, the same could be said for drug abuse too, but I'm not talking about abuse. I'm talking about something that's prescribed by a licensed psychiatrist. I don't suggest anybody do it, personally, because I've never gained anything good from it. I always had to stop doing it, you know. Zyprexa is fucked up. It makes you a zombie. It makes you a shell of who you are. It takes away from who you are. And I'm just really, really glad that I didn't take it long term, man. So you know, occasionally I think about maybe taking a kind of medication for anxiety, because I do have anxiety, I do have depression, but medication is not the answer. It's not a long-term solution, obviously, and a lot of you know that. A lot of you don't know that, because you have to stop taking it. Like the whole reason I started abusing drugs in the first place ever was, I started abusing Valium or diazepam. I did it for insomnia, but the thing is that when you take benzos, for example, for insomnia or pain, you're not actually sleeping for real. You're not actually getting real sleep. It's not actually fixing anything. It's just an illusion of sleep. And then you take more and more and more, and then, it's the same old fucking story, man. So things that I do for anxiety and sleep now, don't involve they don't involve using drugs at all. So it's just a fucking vicious cycle, man. It's a fucking vicious cycle, and I think a lot of it's obviously to make money for people, of course. Anyways, I think I've said enough about it. Anybody that's on any kind of psych med, if you really feel like you don't need it, I would really consider trying to get off that shit and use a more natural source of medication. Try to get into working out, eating better, and surrounding yourself with the right people, man. Anyways, lastly, I got this email, and this is an interesting one. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I got this one, I think it was yesterday. Title of the email: Hardcore masturbation and semen smoothie consumption. I'm just going to read the email, guys, from a gentleman named Daniel Mooney. Hello, Mr. Howard. A fine day to you, sir. Recently, I have taken part in an ayahuasca ceremony. The shaman was a 90-year-old man who moved and looked like a man in his mid-40s. Deep in the jungle, he confessed his eating habits, most of which were normal, but some of which were not. Needless to say, my diet now consists of fruit smoothies containing my own semen, and I do ayahuasca every month. He says, the man stressed that the sexual nature of your ejaculation would dictate the amount of nutrition your body would salvage from the semen. Consuming an angry and violent ejaculation would repair and create more mitochondria cells in the body, essentially producing the same amount of life in your own body when consumed through the mouth than it does when it's used to impregnate a woman and starting the process of birth. He says, now I know this sounds ridiculous, but I've tried it over the last 4 days and my physical function has skyrocketed. No joke. 100% serious. What do you think about this? Then I responded to him and I'm like, all right, so tell me about, your method and the results basically. And he responded, he said, so my process involves fresh everything. My fruit smoothies contain freshly squeezed orange juice, fresh mangoes and strawberries from street vendors here in South America, and of course, fresh semen. It's so fresh, it goes straight from my dick into the smoothie cup, real shit. So this guy's busting nuts in his fucking blender, or his fucking smoothie shaker. And then he goes on to give me examples about how he climbs mountains, or he walks up mountains to where he'd normally be out of breath, but now he's not out of breath. He's talking about how he can, he did like 500 push-ups with 10 sets of 50. And then he says he watched the movie Titanic and that he was somehow more emotionally connected to the two main characters. And he's really talking about how eating his own cum is like this superfood. It's like a nootropic. It's like a fucking superfood. So I immediately went on Google and I started doing research about, health benefits of eating semen. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Now, I'm on this website right now. It's called stdcheck.com. And this is one of several different websites that talk about this. And it says 9 proven benefits of semen that will blow your mind. And there's different categories of ingestion. They they break it down into vaginal and anal intake, ingestion, which is eating, and then they also talk about topical, and then they talk about ejaculation, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So let's talk about the benefits of vaginal/anal intake of semen. The vaginal and rectal linings are very absorbent, so either one is a viable route for soaking up the nutrients in your man's spunk sauce. It has antidepressant properties. It says semen contains quite a few components that have been studied to show antidepressant qualities. One of these is nerve growth factor. Its primary responsibility in semen is to help relax the female so the sperm can achieve its reproductive objective. Blah, 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 blah. And then they're talking about how they did like studies at colleges where they took women who had sex with a condom on, or, the guy had a condom on. And then they talked about women who had sex with no condom on. The guy blew a fat fucking load in them. And that the women who got loads blown in them more often reported better moods and less depression. It also talks about anti-anxiety. Semen contains mood-enhancing compounds like oxytocin, progesterone, estrone, serotonin, and melatonin. And oxytocin is also known as the cuddle hormone because when released, it makes people feel more affectionate and connected. Progesterone has been shown to have anti-anxiety characteristics, and estrogen piggybacks on serotonin to help improve moods, and melatonin helps relaxation occur. And melatonin, guys, is also used as like a sleeping supplement and all that. Which, hey, man, sometimes I have problems with my sleep, so maybe I should start, blowing loads in my own mouth. And then it talks about mood enhancement. Now, those are vaginal and anal methods. Now, ingestion, if you're just eating it, it says longevity. Longevity is there. It helps you with longevity. It says, we know this might be hard to swallow, ha ha ha, but yes, semen can make you live longer. Spermidine, originally isolated from sperm, hence the name, when ingested, has been proven to dramatically increase the lifespan of animals by as much as 25%. And in the same study, it was also found to prevent liver disease as well as liver cancer. Another benefit of eating your own cum, cognitive functioning. He says nerve growth factor does a lot for the body. In addition to being an antidepressant, an anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant, it's also known to help stop the brain from aging. Nerve growth factor, which is very abundant in semen, is vital for maintaining the brain's neurons. Neurons process and transmit information, blah, 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 blah. So that's one more thing. And then lastly, from eating it, basically talking about how it's full of zinc, potassium, magnesium, calcium, citrate, and yeah. Lastly, topical benefits of jizz. Teeth health. Looking for an alternative, all-natural teeth whitening solution? Forget the charcoal. Check out your man's Chubby. Although it's not the white paste you're used to putting on your toothbrush, semen has loads of zinc in it, which is a natural teeth whitener. It's good for your hair, which I think we've all heard that it's good for your hair. Apparently, it's good for your skin. It's believed to smooth skin, less wrinkles, diminish acne, blah, 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 blah. And then there's another technique that I find interesting, and it's called ejaculation. Ejaculation. So ejaculation is when you ejaculate, when something comes out, right? Ejaculation is when you come, but instead of shooting out of the tip of your penis, it goes back into your bladder and gets reabsorbed. Now, from what I understand and what I've read, there's two types of ejaculation. There's involuntary ejaculation, which means you can't really control it. Like some men, they have some kind of defect where when they shoot a load, they just can't actually shoot it out. It goes back in their bladder or wherever else, and it's reabsorbed back into the body from the bladder. And then there's voluntary ejaculation, also known as retrograde ejaculation, which means it's going back into you. and I was actually reading about guys who do this as a technique, where right when you're about to come, you press against your frenulum. And if you don't know what a frenulum is, it's the space between your balls and your asshole, like your taint or your gooch. And right when you're about to come, I guess there's this bump. And no, I have not tried this. There's a bump, and apparently you press up on it firmly, and some jizz might come out, but the rest of it somehow goes back into you. And this guy that I was reading about, he said it took him 6 months to practice this technique, man. Like, what are you doing with your day? What are you doing with your life where you actually practice this every day? Every time you jerk off, you try to ejaculate. And apparently what these reports are saying is that it's almost like injecting yourself with this drug. Like, these guys were describing almost like a high. Because what happens is, it goes back into your bladder, which it doesn't seem healthy. It doesn't seem like that's right. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't seem good for you. And your body absorbs all the nutrients from your sperm. It can make you feel in a better mood. It can take away depression. It can give you more energy. Your body can absorb the vitamins and minerals, whatever, from your sperm and make you feel better. And I just thought that was very, very interesting, man. And apparently, people have been doing it for thousands of years, like in China, of course. In China, they're always doing fucked up shit. Ancient Egyptians have been doing it in India. Now, I'm not going to read all about it all fucking day, but I just thought that was very interesting. Now, that begs the question, should I start drinking my own cum? I'm not going to lie. I thought about it. But the only way that I could ever stomach it is if I put it in a fucking smoothie. But the thing is, dude, if you drink your own jizz, bro, you gotta keep that shit to yourself. You don't tell people you drink your own cum. You don't tell people that ever. You're automatically gonna be judged. Now, I talked to my lady about this yesterday, not asking her if I should do it, but her first response is, yeah, that's gay as fuck. That's gay as fuck to drink your own cum. Now, I personally don't think it's gay. I think it's gay if you suck a dude's dick and drink his cum. Obviously, that's gay. But I do think that's I don't know, man. I mean, that's interesting though, because because if drinking your own semen really does have all these benefits, it eliminates the need to go to a pharmacy. It eliminates the need to take any kind of synthetic, whatever compound. It's like your body makes it. You have an endless supply of it. And this guy who emailed me, Daniel Mooney, seems to think that drinking his own load every day is really helping him out. Maybe what I should do is do like a 30-day cum eating challenge. It'll fucking blow up my YouTube channel, dude. I'll fucking be a YouTube superstar. Maybe by like day 15, I'll be able to read minds and levitate. I don't know, man. But honestly, dude, I have no interest in making a smoothie, blowing a load in it. I just don't see myself doing that, man. I thought it was an interesting email. It's definitely an interesting thought because there's nothing that I found on the internet that said eating semen was bad for you. The only time that taking in cum can be bad for you is if you're having sex anally, vaginally, and the person who ejaculates inside of you has like AIDS or STD. Like, that's the only time it can be bad, obviously, because you're going to contract an STD. But as a topical, as a suppository going up your butthole, as a to ingest it or whatever, it has loads of health. Loads of health benefits. Get it, guys? Man. So I thought that was very, very interesting, man. But I'm for sure not going to be drinking my own loads. And I would encourage anybody that wants to drink their own loads for health benefits, I would encourage you to keep it to yourself and not tell anybody, because you will be judged. And most people are going to think you're super weird and gay now. But if you are gay, and I know I got a couple of y'all listening, I know I got some some old light in the loafers people listening to my little beehole right now. Hey, suck that dick, drink that cum, and feel great. Feel super. Maybe that's why gay guys are generally so pleasant to be around and like happy and in a good mood all the time. Maybe it's that steady intake of cum. Maybe that's it. Huh. Interesting. Alright guys, well I think that's about it. I don't really have a whole lot else to talk about. I know I haven't been pumping out a lot of videos lately. I just haven't really had anything like that interesting to talk about really. I mean, there's so many videos up on YouTube of street food and, the sites and the tourist spots of Mexico. It's like, why am I going to do what everybody else is already doing? In the next couple of weeks here, I will be going down to the south of Mexico, like Oaxaca, Chiapas, Puebla, all these places that are not Mexico City. So I will be pumping out more videos then. But I'm kind of slowing down on the videos because, I just don't really have anything original to talk about. I am going to do a video later today talking about some of the recreational drugs that are available over the counter here in Mexico. And maybe some other shit too, like comparing Cambodia to Mexico, which nobody on YouTube has anything about that. Like I haven't seen anybody aside from myself who can actually talk about living in Phnom Penh, Cambodia versus Mexico City, talking about some of the similarities and differences with it. So I can talk about that. But as for now, I'm not going to be pumping out 20 fucking videos a week. Anyways, y'all, if you guys have an email or anything you'd like me to discuss on the Beehole or a No Joke Howard video, email me, y'all. nojokestriking@gmail.com. Bitches. Also, you guys can follow me on Instagram @BraytonHoward. All that will be in the description box below. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good one. Que tengas buen día. Paz.